What's up, gang? How's it going? My name is Tom Alderdice. I am the founder of Tiny Build Electrics, where we design bespoke electrical systems for our awesome community here in the van life community for your bespoke requirements. So if you are looking to design a system from the ground up based on your exact requirements, then don't hesitate to give us a shout. We are here to help you through the design process. We can supply your system for you. Every wiring diagram is bespoke to your exact system. We have interactive diagrams with videos. We've got community WhatsApp groups. If that's the kind of thing that you're interested in, please do let us know. But today we are going back to our weekly tips and tricks series, where we tackle, as the name would suggest, tips and tricks, or we cover particular topics. We go through wiring configurations or setup guides of how to install certain components. But today we're talking about cable management, and more precisely, these small little wonders from a German company called Wago. So if you are familiar, if you are sort of immersed in the van build world, you are no doubt familiar with these little devices. A fantastic solution for joining cables, extending cables, making connections. And yeah, just all in all, just a great, easy solution for making an often laborious job very, very quick and very simple. So there are all manner of different shapes and sizes for different applications. So you can see here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, a 5-way for joining 5 conductors. So great, for example, if you've got 5 LED downlights or 4 LED downlights and your feed. So you can effectively bring your negative feed in, for example, and then your 4 negative loads from your lights, both for positive and negative. You've got all the way down to sort of a 2-way connector. So you've got 2 terminals for 2 conductors, all the way through to, we've got these pinch variety, so these butt-to-butt sort of pinch varieties where you can effectively squeeze the end here, and that opens the terminal, let go of it, and that closes. So again, on the other end for sort of butt-to-butt connections, if you're extending a cable, for example. So if you were extending your B2 port, for example, from your BMV712 up to your starter battery, this is a great, easy solution for joining that cable. So again, this is another butt-to-butt, but this is a more permanent variety. So once you've made those connections off, there's no chance of getting those undone. So you want to make sure that both your cables are appropriately sized before making that connection. And similarly, for a one-time use, you've got this other variant where you've got again all manner of different connections for joining multiple connections of lights, for example. Is a good example to use for these. Now, it's important that you abide by. You may or may not be able to see this, but on the back here there is the maximum voltage and amperage of each particular unit. This 10mm measurement here is for the depth before it actually goes into the terminal, and then often on the side you can just about make out you've got a line for the which it gives you to gauge the length of the exposed conductor that you need. Now, domestically, you often see these used for multi-stranded cables, such as these, for example. But you don't per se have to use bootlace ferrules for these domestically. But in a van application or any tiny build application for that matter, we prefer to install, so rather than these splayed ends that you can see here, we prefer to install a nice bootlace ferrule on our cables, and these bootlace ferrules can simply be installed and fitted into these Wago connections. So you simply lift the little orange arms here and insert your ferrule in, and you snap the orange arm down, and that gives you a nice solid connection for joining multiple conductors. So a simple little video today. It's worth mentioning that if you're joining ELV circuits, so your 12-volt DC circuits, these don't have to be sort of insulated in an additional junction box. But for example, if you are making 230-volt AC connections, then you need to ensure that those connections can only be accessible via a tool, and that no exposed conductors, so none of these inner conductors, are visible. So what that will translate to is Wago, this company, they actually make a series of their own junction boxes. So what you can do is you pick up the Wago junction boxes. We'll cover this in a separate video, but the Wago connectors slide into the junction boxes nice and snugly. You make off your connections. You make sure that the junction box is closed, and that none of these, which would in a 230-volt application would be your line, neutral, and CPC, or your brown, blue, and earth cable. None of these, inner cores are visible once you've closed the box. And a simple solution, if it doesn't have a screw terminal for you to actually, fit a screw into the lid to hold the lid closed, is some of them have a little tab where you can put a cable tie through that tab and then cinch the cable tie down, which means that junction box is only accessible via a tool. That's something which we do not hear a lot of people talking about here in the van life community. So that's definitely something that needs to be implemented. You've heard us say it time and time again. We recommend that every single one of our installations has what's known as an EICR completed, so an electrical installation condition report. And if your electrician is carrying out an EICR and he finds a junction box for your 230-volt connections, for example, if you are connecting a fridge, let's say, that doesn't have a plug, or you're connecting a boiler which doesn't have a plug, and there are visible conductors outside the junction box, or the junction box isn't screwed shut, it's only clicked shut, and that can be accessible without a tool, so basically by a child with bare hands, then that wouldn't pass the EICR, and that would need immediate solution. So something as simple as a cable tie can make that off, and that way it's only accessible via a tool, because you need a pair of pliers or a knife to cut that open. So I hope that gives you a little bit of an insight. I hope that answers any questions, gives you a little bit of information when it comes to making off 12-volt DC ELV and 230-volt AC LV circuits. So if you have any other suggestions, if you have any questions surrounding the topics that we've discussed today, please do let us know down below, and we'll be sure to cover those in a future video. So all the best, guys. Have an awesome day, and until next time, all the best.